Welcome to Flow and Restore Yoga. My name is Michelle Chua. For this practice, you want to have 2 blocks, a strap, a bolster or pillow, and a blanket, which you can see behind me. You may not use them all, but especially for the second half, which is yin and restorative, you'll want to have many options to lay comfortably. So let's begin in some form of hero's pose where you place your knees in front of you and either sit directly on your heels or use a block or any of your props to sit on right between the ankles. Make sure to safely align your knees by not turning out or turning in your feet. Make sure your toes are all pointed back and your knees are no wider than hips distance apart. And this posture, like other postures too, is not appropriate for all bodies, especially if you're working with knee injuries. So if it's not working for you, sit in a way that does, in which you can begin feeling grounded, open in the body. So here's a very succinct, actually, before I read it, I want to share a little something that happened yesterday. I was in the midst of trying to check off my to-do list, and I have been so proud of myself for being productive the day before, but yesterday I was just feeling indecisive and not as productive as I wanted to feel. And I started to notice a negative thought loop of self-judgment. And then I pause and practice the R.A.I.N meditation, that mindfulness with difficult emotions, which I'll guide you through in our 10 minutes of meditation at the end today. And just took a moment to connect with my inner voice or intuition. And it really just invited me to take a break, to put the work down, take a moment to pause, and to just enjoy some easy time for myself. And I found, ironically, that made me so much more productive afterwards or later on up to today. And it's so funny because then this morning, here's the quote I read that popped up on my feed by the late Thich Nhat Hanh, who was a mindfulness teacher. We have a tendency to think in terms of doing and not in terms of being. We think that when we are not doing something, we are wasting our time. But that is not true. Our time is, first of all, for us to be. To be what? To be alive, to be peaceful, to be joyful, to be loving. And that is what the world needs most. Now, of course, it's about striking a balance, right? We got to get things done. And we also need to have time to do them in a way that allows us to be a positive energy in the world, right? Not rushing and getting so uber focused that we're getting things done with negative energy, right? That could look like just trying to rush through things, honking through traffic, like I gotta get there, so how do we take those moments to really pay attention when our energy is going in a direction that we don't intend, that we don't want to feed? And so with that, let's bring that mindfulness into how we are moving and placing our bodies through the physical yoga. Go a little deeper inward, and then practice our 10 minutes of guided meditation. So let's start by checking in. Start with the outermost layer of your being as you sit still. Notice any sensations you're experiencing in your physical body. Bringing an attitude of caring curiosity. We're not trying to fix things right now or label them as good or bad. And then start to tune into your energy by sensing the natural flow of your breath. Observe your mind. You might already have an idea of what kinds of thoughts you've been feeding today, where you've been pouring your energy by directing your focus. How does your heart feel? What's emotionally present for you? As you feel what you're sitting on, allow a deeper breath in through your nose. As you lengthen your spine upright, exhale slowly through your lips. Inhale as you root downward towards the earth. Exhale as you allow your crown to rise towards the open sky. And just like that, continue to deepen your breath gently. I invite you to notice now anything that you appreciate. Anything you can genuinely offer gratitude for. We've been talking a lot about the power of gratitude to create spiritual alchemy, how broaden our perspective and see the abundance that already fills our lives. So from that standpoint, now choose what you want to direct your focus and thus energy into creating by setting an intention for your practice. Continuing to broaden our perspective beyond the individual ego self, I invite you to choose someone that you would like to dedicate today's practice to. And to send out our intentions, dedications, and also to create resonance within. Let's join our voices in chanting Om 3 times. Breathing in and out slowly through the nose, begin to create a gentle whispering sound to your breath, helping your mind and body relax and focus. Practicing Ujjayi Pranayama, which means victorious breathing. So you create that whisper by softly narrowing the back of your throat. Listen to a few cycles as you're sitting here relaxed. Let the slow, intentional pace of your breath create a sense of mindfulness in how you'll move your body and even how you're observing your mind as you move through the physical practice. See if you can keep that gently audible whisper going through much of our physical practice, especially the vinyasa flow part. Let's start to make our way down onto hands and knees, all fours. We'll start to move to the breath, taking a few rounds of cat-cow, Vidalasana. So as you spread your fingers flat on the ground, stack your shoulders over your wrists and step your knees a couple of inches behind your hips. As you inhale, glide your chest forward and slowly coil it up, gazing up into cow pose. As you exhale, keep the arms straight, contract your abdomen, and slowly bowing the head round your back into cat pose. Inhale, gliding the chest forward into cow. Exhale, lifting the belly in into cat. On your own, try another 3 cycles of Vidalasana. So we're going to continue our physical focus this week of opening the fronts of the shoulders and chest through bringing the shoulders into flexion. Often, this physical focus helps to open the energy of the heart, Anahata Chakra. and thus they're back bends called heart openers. So let's start with a few. Start to lower your chest to the ground as you bend the elbows back, sticking the tailbone in the air. Lower your chin to the floor, look forward, and pause here for a few breaths. So as you hug your elbows towards your ribs, try to draw the shoulders back, firm the belly in. This posture is called Ashtangasana. It's a back bend. Now on your exhalation, slither forward until you land on your belly, with the heels of your palms alongside your floating ribs. Press down firmly through the tops of your feet and hug your elbows close to your sides. As you breathe in, gently coil your chest up into a light version of Cobra pose. Exhale, lower. Let's try two more, maybe waking up the chest, but also working ourselves up a little higher. Inhale, shoulders peel back, broaden the chest forward. Keep stretching the legs long behind you. Exhale, release. Last one. Keep hugging the elbows close, rooting down through the toenails. Inhale, Bhujangasana, Cobra pose. And then exhale, place your forearms on the floor in front of you. Still lifting your chest, come into Sphinx pose. See that your elbows are right underneath your shoulders, not behind you. As you press the palms downward, broaden your collarbones and lengthen the back of your neck by looking slightly down. Notice the sound of your breath. Press down with the tops of your feet and start to pull in the belly so you're engaging the abdomen. Keep drawing the shoulders back, and with an exhale, lift your pelvis off the floor, entering a version of forearm plank. We'll stay for 3 breaths. So with the tops of your feet pressing down, keep lengthening the back of the neck, send the shoulders down the back. Tuck the toes behind you, press the heels back, and then start to walk your toes forward, entering dolphin pose. Press the chest towards your shins, roll your triceps or outer upper arms towards the floor, and soften the neck. You can drop the head, 2 more breaths. Send the shoulder blades back away from the neck. And then replace your elbows with your palms, entering downward facing dog. You might step the feet further back, take a few breaths here to gently pedal your feet out, loosen up the backs of your legs, shake and nod your head a few times, relax the neck. And most importantly, check in with the quality of your breathing. Find that slow and steady rhythm. Bend your knees, lift your hips and look past the hands. Empty your breath. Then walk or lightly jump to the top of your mat, feet apart, hips distance, parallel, forward fold. Bend your knees here at least a little bit. Plant your fingertips either on blocks, shins, or the ground. As you inhale to lengthen your spine forward into half forward fold, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold over your legs, Uttanasana. Again, to the breath. Press with your hands. Inhale, reach the crown of your head forward. Ardha Uttanasana. Keep firming in the belly here. Exhale, Uttanasana. Press down with your feet. Inhale, slowly rise to stand, sweeping your arms overhead as you gently coil your chest up. Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, trace your palms in prayer from your crown to your heart center. Padasana. Slow down the breath and let's flow into sun salutation A. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead, roll the shoulders back and down. Exhale, hinge forward into Uttanasana. Press with your hands. Inhale, lengthen forward to Ardha Uttanasana. Carefully step back to plank, legs straight or knees down. Exhale, glide forward through Chaturanga Dandasana, hugging the elbows to your ribs. Lower to Cobra or flip the toes there into upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. Now keep your hips leveled in height. As you inhale, raise your right leg behind you. Exhale, round forward into plank, bend the knee towards your nose, and quietly step your right foot forward beside your right thumb. Lower your left knee, but keep the left toes tucked. Come onto your fingertips, hands on blocks or the floor, and let's flow to the breath. Inhale here as you're looking up, relax the shoulders. Lift your left knee, keep your feet where they are, and exhale, begin to bow towards your straightened right leg. Inhale, lower the left knee, kneeling lunge. Exhale, straighten and bow, pyramid pose. 3 more cycles of breath. Inhale, kneeling lunge. Exhale, pyramid. Inhale, kneeling lunge. Exhale, pyramid. Inhale, kneeling lunge. And exhale, pyramid. Come into a high lunge. Keep the left knee lifted. Plant the hands, step into plank pose. Exhale to lower into your vinyasa. Take it all the way through. Downward facing dog. Keep your hips leveled and inhale, raise your left leg back. Exhale, round into plank, bending the knee towards your nose. Softly land the foot beside your left thumb. Lower your right knee into a kneeling lunge. Keep the right toes tucked. Inhale, look up. Exhale, lift the right knee. Straighten your legs and bow, pyramid pose. 4 more breaths. Inhale, kneeling lunge. Exhale, pyramid. Inhale, kneeling lunge. Exhale, pyramid. Inhale, kneeling lunge. Exhale, pyramid. Inhale. Exhale. This time come into a high lunge. Inhale. And exhale, step the right foot forward. Let the feet touch. Inhale, lengthen your spine to Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Root down to rise. Breathing in, arms overhead. Exhale, join your palms at your heart. Let's flow through Sun Salutation B. With your feet touching, bend your knees to touch. Inhale, sit low in chair pose, Utkatasana. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Step to plank, exhale, lower into your vinyasa all the way through. From downward facing dog, keep your hips leveled. Inhale, raise your right leg back. Exhale the foot beside your right thumb. Spin the left heel down. Inhale, rise to warrior one. Square the hips forward. Exhale, lower, vinyasa. From downward dog, level the hips. Inhale, raise your left leg back. Exhale the foot quietly beside left thumb. Spin the right heel down. Inhale, rise up, Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, lower into your vinyasa. Pause in downward dog, centering on the breath, 3 cycles. Now from here, lower your elbows to the floor, dolphin pose. Palms flat face down or interlace the fingers. You might be able to walk the feet forward a little more. Press your chest towards your shins, from your belly towards your back, and lift the shoulders away from the neck. 3 more breaths. If you like to play with lifting a leg straight up, keep the hips squared or leveled. Flex the lifted foot. And you can switch sides, stay a little longer if you like. We'll meet in child's pose. When you arrive in child's pose, rest your arms anywhere it helps you to relax the shoulders for 3 slow breaths. And then gently roll your spine upright. Come to sit at the center of your mat, step your feet forward, and grab a block. Place the block by the skinniest width between your knees and thighs. Hugging it firmly, step your feet apart as wide apart as your knees. Make sure your feet stay parallel. Extend the arms forward and slowly lower onto your back. Engaging the many muscles of your core. When you arrive, bring the arms down by your sides and walk your heels back until you could almost touch them with your fingertips. We're going to move through 3 rounds of potentially lifting up into upward facing bow. We've warmed up the shoulders quite a bit, so let's see what's available. Not forcing anything, but just being with what's present in your body. So establish a calm, even breath pace. Keep that going. Press the feet down firmly. Straighten your arms up towards the sky. Rotate your outer upper arms or triceps towards your front wall, thus spreading your shoulder blades across the back ribs. Draw your shoulder blades down your back ribs. Open up space in the neck. Now keep doing these 2 actions when you go into the posture. Bend your elbows towards the ceiling. Keep your elbows exactly your shoulders distance apart. Make sure they don't flare apart. This is important for shoulder stability. Flip your palms face down by flexing your wrists so that your fingertips or your entire palms land flat alongside your ears. If you find your elbows want to flare apart, you can spin the fingertips slightly to turn out to keep the elbows from doing that. Now hug the block and let's practice bridge pose with your arms like this. So keep sending the shoulder blades down the back, press through your feet, and inhale, lift your pelvis and stretch the fronts of your thighs forward. Stay for 5 breaths your count before lowering. Now, as you keep your feet still, bring the energy to them as if you're dragging your heels back towards your glutes without moving them, while lengthening the fronts of your thighs forward and spinning your inner thighs slightly downward. Open up the throat by tilting your chin back. When you've finished, 5 deep breaths. With an exhalation, very slowly lower your upper back, middle back, then tailbone. Release the arms. You might circle your hands at your wrists for 3 breaths, preparing for round 2, in which you might take it to a further extent, moving towards Urdhva Dhanurasana. All right, arms straight up, bend the elbows, no wider than shoulders width apart. Flex the wrists, land the palms face down alongside the ears. Maybe turn out the fingertips a little. Send the shoulder blades down the back, take a deep breath, and lift the hips like bridge. Choose to stay here for 5 breaths, or see if it's possible to bring the crown of your head to the floor and pause. If your lower back feels okay with it, continue on and push off your hands so the head is off the ground. Remember that action of energetically dragging your heels towards your glutes while lengthening the front of your thighs forward. Keep doing that to help support your lower back. Let the arch or the back bend happen right under the shoulder blades mostly. After about 5 deep breaths, take the stages in reverse. Bring the crown of your head back to the floor. Tuck your chin towards your chest. Then slowly lower upper back, middle back, tailbone. Relax your arms. This time you could stretch your outer wrists by making what I call chicken wings, where you flip the backs of your palms into your armpits, and then you bend the elbows towards the side ribs. Slow down the breath. Notice what you're feeling in your body right now. All right, this is our last attempt. Whatever range you're moving into, just being with what's here, what's available in this moment. All right, flip the palms face down, take it on your own. 5 to 10 breaths. Those of you who are in upward bow with the head off the floor, you might play with straightening the legs. If the hip flexors are willing, you might play with bending the elbows to the ground, placing the forearms on the floor. And then take it down on your own when you're ready to. This time when you come out of the posture, I invite you to drop your knees apart, bring the soles of your feet together, and let's transition into our yin practice, starting with supine bound angle pose. Now, when you drop the knees open, if they are uncomfortably lifting away from the ground, use a block under each outer thigh to rest them on. You might rest a hand on your heart center and a hand on your lower belly, and close the eyes. Sense the flow of the breath. Play with taking your time to expand fully with the in-breath. And to empty all the way out with the out-breath. We've got 2 more minutes in this posture, so really take your time. We've spent the past half hour or so with a lot of physical doing. Sense anything that arises in you, such as thoughts, beliefs, as we pause into practicing stillness, practicing just being. Allow a couple last slow breaths here. Then bring your hands to your outer thighs and gently close the knees together, wrapping your right leg over your left leg like you would in eagle pose. Then slide your hips another 3 to 5 inches towards the right edge of your mat. Open your right arm out to the right on the floor and maybe look past the right shoulder as you ground it. Lift your feet and begin to slowly drop your knees to your left side. Supine spinal twist. Now, If the right shoulder wants to lift up, you could also use your pillow or any of your props to catch your legs so that they don't fall as far. You can keep the right shoulder down. And if you're needing a bit more release for your lower back, place your left hand on your right outer hip. And as you breathe out, gently press away your right outer hip so it tilts slightly towards the front edge of your mat. Let's tune into about 8 more slow breaths here. Then start to unwind slowly, uncross your legs, and wrap the left one on top. Slide your hips closer to the right edge of your mat. And open your left arm out to your left side. You might gaze over your left shoulder. And then start to drop your knees to the right. Maybe resting them on pillows. And if you're needing more release in the lower back, place your right hand on your left outer hip. And as you exhale, gently press it towards the front edge of your mat. Let's listen in for 8 more slow breaths. Start to lower onto your back again. This time, splaying your bent knees wide into supine frog pose, where you bend your knees at 90-degree angles and keep your knees in line with your middle toes. You might flex the feet to help stabilize the knees and then splay the thighs open, maybe resting your arms on your inner thighs. Make sure to ground your tailbone, head, and shoulders here. Notice if the lower back tends to lift higher away from the floor and overarch. Firmen the belly slightly if that starts to happen. And let's listen to another 9 slow breaths here in Supta Mandukasana. And then once again, bring your hands to your outer thighs, gently bring the knees together, hug them in, maybe rock side to side, forward and back, or circle the knees together and apart. Allow a few breaths for this. And then set your feet flat on the floor, about hips distance apart and parallel to each other. Bring your arms down by your sides. Step your feet back until you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips. Now we've been practicing upward facing bow, which is and dolphin pose, which is bringing the shoulders into flexion. So we're going to do sort of the opposite action in the shoulders, which is bringing them into extension, though we're still creating a heart opening back bend and opening the chest. So let's come into 10 counts of bridge pose. Now, if you prefer to make it restorative bridge, take a block, there it is, and place it wide across your sacrum like this. And you can adjust the height of that block if you want it to be however high. You can still have the feet parallel. So either way, bring the arms really close to your sides and roll your shoulders back and feel the backs of the shoulders pressing into the earth. Turn the palms to face up if you're not interlacing the fingers. This will help open up the fronts of the shoulders, and tilt your chin back slightly away from your chest to open your throat. So tuning into 10 full breaths where you're inviting the inhale to spread the collarbones apart from the sternum to the shoulder heads, feeling the rib cage fill up, and even inviting some breath down into the belly and into the back of your body. So you're either in active bridge, no block underneath, or restorative bridge. 10 breaths. When you've finished 10 breaths, gently lower your pelvis to the ground. Keep your knees bent and your feet on the floor. Separate your feet wider apart than hips distance. Separate your knees as wide apart as your feet and drop your knees to your right side. Adjust your left leg if you need so that your left knee is pointing down the midline of your mat. Notice any sensations specifically around the left side of your pelvis, like the lower back, the hip. If you're not feeling much happening there, cross your right ankle just above your left knee. If you are feeling a lot happening without that, don't need to add it. Another thing you could play with is raising the arms overhead and holding opposite elbows, dropping the arms back. Sense about 8 more breaths here. So this posture physically targets the area of your psoas, which is a deep muscle that crosses from your lower back to the front of your hips, behind your digestive organs. And the psoas are often called our flight, fight, freeze response muscle, because when the stress response is activated primitively, the body instinctively rounds into a fetal position. And these are the muscles that activate that self-protection posture. So even in day-to-day life, when we don't need to run away from a tiger or fight for our lives, but there is a stress response of some sort, you might sense the psoas carrying tension, just even through our thoughts and reactions mentally. So notice anything that might be surfacing for you while you're in this posture for the last few breaths. Very gently unwind the legs, step the feet on the ground again, knees bent. Separate your feet wider apart than hips distance and relax the arms. Separate your knees as wide apart as your feet, and as you keep your feet on the ground, drop your knees to your left side as far as they'll fall. Point your right knee down the center line of your mat. You might need to slightly move the leg to the right. Now pause here, just observe. What are you sensing around the right side of your pelvis especially? Might be different from the first side. You might already feel a lot happening. You don't need to do anything else. If you're not feeling much happening, you could try crossing the left ankle just above your right knee. You could also try raising the arms, and if you did so on the first side, switch the cross of the elbow on top, drop the arms back. And then listen to the breath, about 8 more cycles. Observing anything shifting, even energetically, so subtly. And as you feel ready, release the arms, uncross the legs, and stretch the legs forward on the ground. Let's circle out the ankles, rotating the feet in one direction for a few breaths. The opposite direction, a few breaths. You could even circle out your hands at the wrists, shoulders, anything that wants to move here. A few more breaths. Maybe gently tilt the skull up and down, shake the head no, feel into your neck. And then find the easiest way for you to rise up to sit. Extending your legs forward, sit up tall for seated forward fold. Now you might like to use a strap around the balls of your feet as an extension of your arms so that you can relax the shoulders. If you can still relax the shoulders and eventually clasp your big toes, then you can walk the hands down the backs of the legs, starting with the arms up. So flex your feet and press the insteps of your feet forward, which causes your thighs to slightly internally rotate, and this broadens the sacrum a bit. At the same time, firm your outer hips towards your spine and press the pelvis down as you lift the spine from it. All this creates support for the lower back, even slightly firming in the belly. Deep breath in, relax the shoulders, slightly lift the chest. Then just a little bit of your range, hinge forward from the hips as you breathe out. Each inhale, press the pelvis deeper down and lengthen through the center of your spine. Keep your throat open and continue to hinge just to your own range, your capacity. About 7 more breaths. Paschimottanasana is this posture in Sanskrit. What would it feel like to breathe into your back muscles, even down to the glutes, hamstrings, and calves? pressing down to your pelvis. Start to lift from your chest, your heart center. Breathe in to slowly rise up. Please find a comfortable way to sit for pranayama, which will help us to relax inward so that we can practice Shavasana and then our guided meditation in the end. So sit in a way that you can feel grounded, open and alert, as well as relaxed. I invite you into the practice of alternate nostril breathing, or Nadi Shodhana Pranayama. Just change the music here so we can more easily concentrate. So this practice entails closing the lips and breathing very softly and sustained through the nose. We'll be resting the left hand on the lap. You might bring it into Gyan Mudra, which helps to cultivate deeper inward focus for meditation. It's bringing the thumb and first fingers to touch with the palm face up. Now the right hand will stick out the thumb, pinky, and ring fingers. And as you close the lips, we'll use the right thumb to close the right nostril like this, and the right ring and pinky fingers to close the left nostril like this. Alternate nostril breathing. As we practice, you might close your eyes and steady your inward gaze, either at your heart center towards your sternum, or at your pineal gland ajna chakra, which is your third eye center, towards the center of the brain. Recently, I've been focusing my inward gaze there and have been feeling a little easier to focus. So see what works for you. Let's practice 3 cycles together and 2 cycles on your own. Prepare to begin by emptying this breath. Right thumb, close right nostril. Inhale through left. Hold the breath. Close left. Exhale through right. Hold the breath. Inhale through right. Hold. Close right. Exhale through left. Hold. Cycle 2. Inhale left. Hold. Close left. Exhale right. Hold. Inhale right. Hold. Close right. Exhale left. Hold. Cycle 3. Inhale left. Hold. Close left. Exhale right. Hold. Inhale right. Hold. Close right. Exhale left. Hold. Continue 2 more cycles on your own. Take your time. When you finish, let go of controlling the breath. Sitting for a few moments, observe anything you feel. And as you're ready, slowly lower your body all the way to the ground, finding a comfortable position to lie down and rest in stillness in for a few minutes of Shavasana. Close your eyes. When you get there, you might turn the palms face up by your sides, relax the shoulders down, letting the breath continue to flow naturally, practicing the art of just appreciating being. Nothing you have to do. As you rest here a little bit longer, come back to your physical body and notice the way it's feeling now. Very gently begin to move small parts of your body, easing into waking it up. Stretching, and then slowly turning over onto your right side, resting your head. And pause to observe the breath, just as it is. Sense your energy right now. And take your time rising up, finding a comfortable way to sit, tall, alert, relaxed, and open for 10 minutes of guided R.A.I.N meditation. So as I mentioned in the beginning of our practice, R.A.I.N is a mindfulness practice for connecting with any difficult or uncomfortable emotions that arise at any given moment. It can be a formal meditation practice or just a quick way to practice self-compassion in the moment. And R.A.I.N is an acronym for 4 steps. Makes it easy to remember, especially when you're feeling triggered. You can access it. So sitting tall, relaxed, with eyes closed, or a steady, gentle, downcast gaze. You might rest the hands in Gyan Mudra to help direct the focus inward, thumb and index fingers touching, palms face up. Now allow the breath to continue flowing naturally. Sensing where in your body you can rest your attention most easily to observe the breath, its sensations. So that anytime you might catch your awareness drift off away from this practice, you can come back to that place in your body and again sense the breath as a way of anchoring back to the present. So I invite you now to recall a recent moment in which you experienced any kind of difficult emotion at a lower degree of intensity. Let's say the scale is from 1 to 10. Maybe it lands at a 4 or 5 or 6, somewhere in the middle. Because this is a brief practice, we want to be able to leave still feeling balanced. So it might have been a moment of impatience that arose when you're waiting for something, or disappointment, or frustration. Maybe you, like in my experience, since you were judging yourself and feeling guilty. And when you've chosen one of those situations to practice R.A.I.N with, the first step of R.A.I.N is R for recognize. Recognize the emotion. So allow a moment to visualize that situation. And succinctly name the emotion that's difficult or uncomfortable. The second step in R.A.I.N is A, for allow yourself to fully feel it. Give the emotion space to express itself, especially in your physical body. Now, R.A.I.N is not about analyzing things as much as it is about being present with a physical, visceral experience. So allow a moment to replay the situation and notice who is there, what was said or not said. And through this, re-experiencing that emotion in your physical body. You might experience it even more subtly through what's called your felt sense. For example, when guilt arose for me, I felt a sort of static around my chest, clutter of energy around my throat, a bit of confusing movement around my belly, an unsettling feeling. So practice being in the aliveness of your body and its sensations. In light of self-compassion, this is a way of saying, this belongs. I'm not trying to push it away. This is part of the human experience. And now the third step in R.A.I.N is I for investigate. Part of that we've already been doing, investigating how the emotion feels in your body. Another aspect of that is to ask yourself, what does this vulnerable part of me want? What does it want me to know? And one way of addressing that is to ask, what am I believing? What am I believing? For example, when the feelings of guilt arose for me in my story in the beginning, I was believing that my self-worth was dependent on how many things I could check off on my to-do list. So I was experiencing feelings of unworthiness, guilt. So after investigating, the last step in R.A.I.N is N for nurture. How does this vulnerable part of you want you to be with it? How can you offer yourself an authentic gesture of loving kindness, of compassion? For me, in that situation in which guilt arose, I reminded myself that it doesn't matter how many things I do or how productive I am. I'm still a good person. So reminding yourself of your innate goodness can be powerful. Sometimes a gesture can be physical touch, like gently placing a palm on your chest and just sensing that soothing warmth. If you find it difficult to give yourself nurturance, you might think of someone, whether a person, a pet, an animal, a a spiritual figure, someone who's crossed over to the spiritual realm, anyone who cares about you and that you trust, offering you that nurturance, something that feels genuine. Allowing yourself to feel nurtured. Sit in that feeling now. At the end of R.A.I.N is actually the most important part, where we regain the perspective that we are not these different thoughts or even the emotions that come and go. We are like a vast ocean that has room to invite it in and see it go. Let the waves flow in and out. So coming back to the sense of the vastness of your being, the innate goodness that you are. Notice now how you are feeling mentally and emotionally, and any other effects of your practice today. You might join your palms together at your heart center, acknowledging anything you appreciate right now. I invite you to give yourself thanks as well, as the practice of R.A.I.N. It's not always easy. In fact, it can be quite challenging at times, especially when we're in the heat of the difficult emotion. Just like all of these different yoga practices, they become more accessible when we really need them, when we practice them often and regularly. So with that, thank you for your commitment to your highest well-being. Remember what your intention was when you arrived here. Remember to whom you dedicated this practice. In celebration of the fact that we're all in this together, the work we do within ourselves ripples out, allowing us to be that peaceful being. Let's close with 3 ohms. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.